Hello, welcome to my channel. Hello and welcome. Hello, welcome to my channel, Inner Journey with Meditation. Today I'm going to talk about beliefs. Inner being and beliefs. Right. I have an example for me, with me. Right. I don't even know, where do I start with this? I first learned about beliefs from Abraham Hicks when I listened to it, but I didn't understand it fully. So Abraham Hicks said something like, beliefs is a thought that you keep on thinking. And I was like, okay, what kind of thoughts? I hope you can't hear that. That's my daughter shouting. I'm like, what kind of thought is it that I keep on thinking that might influence my view on life, or influence my life, or influence how I am in life? So I was aware that beliefs is a thought I keep on thinking. So when I read Seth, it was more in one of his books, in trying to explain to people, there was one on weight loss. And that just got me. I thought, woo. So in one of his, in Seth's book, Jane Roberts, go and have a look. It says, beliefs is something, is a line, is a thought that you keep repeating, that you not repeating, I suppose you do repeat it, but you don't realize it's a belief. I'm going to use a weight loss example here, which I relate to. I'm trying to lose this baby. Having kids, you're going to lose the baby fat and you can't. So I like this one. And I wanted to do it in the easiest way possible. So it says, in Jane Roberts' book, it says, my understanding was, you're fat because you think you're fat, and so you eat, and so you eat a lot, and you eat a lot, and therefore you look fat. You look at yourself in the mirror and you say to yourself, I'm fat. So you eat a lot, and then you look in the mirror, I'm fat. So actually, you're telling yourself that you're fat, and you look in the mirror to confirm this, and then you eat a lot to also confirm it. Can you see? So you tell yourself, and it becomes, I always think it's a chicken and egg scenario. Which came first? When did I start telling myself I'm fat? And therefore I now eat more to prove that I'm fat, and therefore I now eat more to stay fat and prove that I'm fat. So if I told myself, I look in the mirror and I told myself, ooh, I'm thin, or I'm too thin, you will find what would happen is your behavior will change. You wouldn't actually eat that much. So you're not. So even though the current narrative is you're fat because you eat a lot, it's not actually that. It's more that you're fat because you tell yourself that you're fat, and so you eat a lot to make that happen in your experience, in your reality. You tell yourself you're fat, your behavior changes to take that into, your behavior changes to accept that into your narrative, into your story. If you tell yourself you're thin, most people that are thin, they never ever say they're fat. Or they never look at themselves. And I'm talking about your actual thoughts to yourself. Remember, you can't lie to yourself. There's no point saying, I'm going to pretend that I'm thin and then hope for the best, because you're still thinking you're fat. It's really hard to observe reality and think something else. Is really, really hard, because reality is confirming, the physical reality is confirming your thoughts, and therefore you go in this cycle. I'm fat, I eat a lot, to gain more weight, I view with my senses that I'm fat, and therefore it must be true, and therefore I must be fat. Time is going. So I like that. When I saw that, I'm like, oh, so I've been telling myself that I'm fat, and really I could change the narrative to I'm not fat. But because I knew I couldn't really, it was very difficult for me to look at myself and say I'm not fat when I'm looking and I'm like, but you are. As in I have more weight. I'm not fat. I have more weight than I would like. So I found that very difficult. So what I did was I decided that the food that I ate, the fatty foods that I ate just didn't stay in my body. I decided, well, I'm going to enjoy. So I was going to look at food and not feel guilty about it. So I was going to eat, I don't know, I love ice cream. So let's use ice cream. So I was like, I'm going to have ice cream, all the ice cream I want to have. But the fat's not going to stick, or the fat doesn't stick. It doesn't stay within me. I told myself this sentence so much that I believed it. I believed I have all the ice cream that I want, and my body will take what it needs and just get rid of the rest. I just kept saying this to myself. In fact, I had a little phrase for it, and I really don't want to repeat that on camera. It's not very polite. But and I was saying, and I just, and true to form, that little sentence, I told myself, that little sentence I told myself actually worked, because it meant I was eating whatever I wanted to eat, and because I now believed that the fat didn't stay within my system, it just was flushed out. I actually observed that happening. Now, my issue was the fat that I was already carrying. How do I get rid of that? I hadn't quite figured that bit out. When I made my connection, my inner being did give me a sentence to use. I can't even remember what it is now. And in fact, that sentence, I can't remember what the sentence was. The thing about these sentences and thoughts that you tell yourself, you have to keep them constant. You have to constantly repeat these concepts until they become true and in your reality. Now, obviously, I made connection with my inner being, and at the time it was and at the time I thought, this is going to be an easy weight loss. I'm going to do it, like, just think the fat out of me. And my inner being was like, you got another thing coming. Because now I also realize that when you have those thoughts that become belief, because if I think that the fat doesn't stick, I keep thinking it, I start to believe it, and then that becomes my reality. What I'm really doing is giving instructions to my inner being, to my subconscious. I'm saying the fat doesn't stick. And then my behavior changes to reflect that. And then I see it. in my reality, in my physical reality, and it becomes true. So what I'm trying to say is, your beliefs or the thoughts that you think, that you constantly think, are instructions that you give your inner being, your subconscious. These are instructions that you give your inner being, and your inner being controls, is control the right word? Has a significant input to what you perceive. Your inner being has a significant input to what you perceive, and therefore, by you giving this instruction to your inner being, your subconscious, you perceive it. So me saying to my inner being, the fat in this ice cream doesn't stick, and my inner being has to comply, because that's the nature of things. That's the nature of reality energetically. But obviously, when I made my connection to my inner being was just there smoking away. No, my inner being looking out for me. And actually, the response I got was, that was a very good instruction for me to imagine that the fat doesn't stick, and therefore I observed it. So I had no choice but to observe it. As in, my inner being had no choice but to make me perceive that which I was thinking, and therefore I could believe that. But when I made the conscious connection, communication, and in our communication and dialogue, my inner being came back with, yes, very good for you to think you can lose weight that way, but you need to do some exercise. You need to exercise. I was like, what? I want to lose this weight naturally. Yes, but I'm the one gonna make you see that. Why in this particular situation, in this particular scenario, being active is good for you, and it's good for the physical body. So your inner being is always looking out for you and looking after you. Wanted me to be a bit more active. It's not for me to go and run 100 levels of stairs or join. It wasn't about joining the gym. It was just being, especially as I work in an office all day, it was, you just be a little bit active, and I would see more dramatic changes. So why did I do this video? I did this video to share with you what beliefs are. They're literally sentences that you tell yourself, and you think you are repeating what you see. You think you're repeating what you see, but the reality is you're repeating a sentence that becomes a belief. And that's what you notice. I remember saying to a friend of mine, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said to me, she was sort of on the market for jobs and stuff, and she said, I can't find any jobs. There are no jobs for people like me and for my level out there. And I just said to her, do you know how many times you've said that sentence to me? You've said it so much that I said that it's a belief. You believe that there are no jobs, there are no high-level jobs for you. There are not enough high-level jobs for you. You believe that. And if you think about it, chicken and egg situation, when I said it, she was like, oh, I I actually think that, and then I see that there are no jobs. And as soon as I pointed out that that was a belief that she carried, and she took that on board, and she was like, oh, I'm going to change that. When I spoke to her next, she's like, oh my God, there are jobs out there. There are just masses of jobs. You just start to see life differently. That's my weight loss story. That's my weight loss story and beliefs. And a friend, I just thought I'll share a friend's job story and beliefs. There are others. What sentence do you tell yourself? What sentence do you tell yourself that you now carry as a belief? And this is the other thing that I actually should talk about is, when you have a belief, there's always how can I change it? That seems a really tricky way to do it. One way is to change the way that that sentence is. So if you have if there's a negative sentence that you carry, such as there are no jobs for my level out there. That it's a simple sentence, but it became a belief. I cannot lose this weight. It's a simple sentence, but it became a belief. How can you change it to make it work for you? You can swap the sentence around, and what I did was to add some feelings. This is the hard bit. You know, it becomes, you think of, wow, there are lots of jobs for me out there. You have to feel the elevation within you. So bring your emotions into it. Bring your emotions into it in terms of, wow, there are lots of jobs out there. So you switch the sentence around to one that suits you and that you can truthfully, inwardly accept, right? That's one. And the other one is to connect with your inner being. That's literally the simplest other way to do it. Because you can then say to your inner being, I said to you, I wanted this job. What am I doing still looking for work? And then your inner being can say, well, go and check the other side. I put it there for you. You were just faffing about, looking here and looking there. And it's there the whole time. The whole time it's there. That's what your inner being would say. So that's the thing. There are two ways. Before you connect to your inner being, switch the sentence around so that the instructions you're giving to your inner being is one that makes you happy. And secondly, the other method is to connect to your inner being, have your own type of dialogue with your inner being, and use that to have a direct route to what it is you want. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Subscribe away if you enjoy my content. And I'll see you in the next video.